Howdy folks, and welcome to the Armoured Warfare Open Beta test. It is finally out of early access. Absolutely anybody can pop along to the Armoured Warfare or my.com website, download the installer, install the game and be up and running completely free of charge. Those of you who play games like World of Tanks know exactly how this works. It's a free-to-play game supported by microtransactions. You can purchase premium vehicles, you can purchase founders packs, you can purchase premium time and gold, but if you do not wish to, it is entirely possible to play this game completely free of charge. Inevitable comparisons are of course going to be drawn with Wargaming's flagship product World of Tanks, and Obsidian Entertainment make absolutely no apologies for this whatsoever. The reason that the two games play in a very similar fashion is because the World of Tanks audience is exactly who Obsidian are attempting to capture with this game, and it makes no sense whatsoever to alienate your target audience by effectively making them learn how to play a completely new game. So if you're used to controlling a tank in World of Tanks, then you'll be right at home in Armoured Warfare, because the basic controls are pretty much exactly the same. Obsidian want you to be able to jump right in and start playing, and have it feel intuitive without you having to effectively learn how to drive tanks all over again. The basic controls, using the keyboard to control the movement of the tank, the mouse to control the turrets, and the mouse buttons to control the weapon systems. Exactly the same as World of Tanks. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are of course some differences. The most obvious difference is the cosmetic one. Armoured Warfare features modern vehicles, ranging from post-World War II all the way up to the present day. Machines in World of Tanks like the M41 Walker Bulldog, which is a Tier 7 light tank, the M48 Patton, which is a Tier 10 medium tank here in Armoured Warfare, are Tier 2 vehicles. The tanks that you'll be encountering in Armoured Warfare range from the post-war designs like the M48 Patton, all the way through to some modern day concepts such as the M1A2 Abrams, the Challenger 2, even concept tanks like the Polish PL-01 light tank, and some of the very latest designs like the Soviet T-14 Armata. And if by any chance you haven't actually played a game like World of Tanks before jumping into Armoured Warfare, if you're playing Armoured Warfare cold as it were, they've thrown in a tutorial. You have to complete the tutorial before you can embark upon your first PvE cooperative mission. The PvE cooperative missions are the main reason why I've been putting a lot of time into Armoured Warfare lately. The PvP is very similar to World of Tanks, intentionally so. There are of course differences, and the differences in Armoured Warfare are mostly to do with the various different ammunition types and the various different types of armour that covers the tanks that you're going to be shooting at. And you're going to see an example of it right here in the tutorial, the very first time you pull the trigger. That's an M41 Walker Bulldog. You can see I hit him and penetrated him. You're damn right I penetrated him, it's just a light tank. But I overmatched, and I didn't do the full damage potential of the shell because it went straight in and straight out the other end. It didn't actually fragment inside the tank the way it would have if I'd find something that didn't have quite so much penetration. And this is something that Armoured Warfare takes very seriously. This isn't like World of Tanks, where you quite simply just load the ammunition that's got the best penetration and fire at everything. You don't have to worry about overmatching the armour in World of Tanks. In fact, overmatching armour in World of Tanks is a good thing because it reduces the chance that you're actually going to ricochet when you hit a sloped surface. Here in Armoured Warfare, the ammunition selection is very important, because you'll do a lot more damage if you fire on the right ammunition type of the right kind of armour. And we'll show you the sort of thing I'm talking about by having a look at one of the tanks in the garage. So, using the M60 as our first example, the M60 is a Tier 3 main battle tank, and if we press this little button over here, we get a pop-out showing you a summary of the vehicle's stats, things like the alpha damage with the 105mm gun, the penetration, the sustained damage per minute, how much hit points it has, the maximum speed, the acceleration, how much camouflage, the vision range. Useful information right here, like the gun depression. It has 9 degrees, which is quite nice, turret traverse, reload time, and so on and so on. But taking a look at the armour statistics, the M60 had rolled homogeneous steel armour. You can see it up here, it says steel. Effective armour thickness can vary depending on the type of ammo impacting your vehicle. However, because this tank has steel armour, this vehicle's armour composition offers equal protection versus all ammo types. So let's have a look at something that doesn't have steel armor, something like the BMP-T Terminator, which is basically a T-72 main battle tank with the turret and main gun removed, and this arrangement bolted on top instead. The BMP-T Terminator, which is a Tier 6 premium vehicle, has composite armor. So the armor reacts differently depending on what kind of ammunition is fired at it. We can see that the effective armor thickness at the front of the tank here against armor piercing ammunition is 422 millimeters. Against high explosive, it's exactly the same, but against shaped charge ammunition, things like high explosive anti-tank ammunition, things like anti-tank guided missiles, it has 694 millimeters of effective armor thickness. So firing high explosive anti-tank ammunition at the front of a BMP-T Terminator or anything with explosive reactive armor is going to result in big fat nothing happening. At first, because here's the other thing about explosive reactive armor. Once it's exploded, it no longer covers that part of the tank, and we're going to give you a quick example of exactly that sort of thing in practice during a game. Here I'm playing the BMP-T Terminator in a Tier 6 cooperative PvE mission. I have the 4 anti-tank guided missile launchers loaded. You can fire these things in very, very rapid succession, but they take a long time to reload. And I'm going to come across another BMP-T Terminator. I'll just pop a couple of missiles into this guy. No, he's going to get away. And here comes the opposition. He has explosive reactive armor in the side of the tank. My first shot hits, does absolutely no damage, but look, you can see right there. You can see where the explosive reactive armor plating has been blown off, and my second shot did impact exactly the same area and did damage. He's trying to light me up with his 25mm autocannon while I'm reloading, and I aim for exactly the same spot, which did no damage the first time I hit it, but did blow the armor plating off. And the second this thing reloads, he is dead meat. So you can see that there's a lot more to think about other than just load the ammunition that has the highest penetration, because it's not necessarily going to do anything against the kind of armor that may be covering the tanks that you're shooting at. Now, you might be sitting there scratching your head thinking, bloody hell, Jingles, this is all a bit much to take on board. I just want to get in there and shoot some tanks. Well, you don't really have to worry about it until you start encountering vehicles that have composite or explosive reactive armor. And that isn't likely to happen until Tier 4 at the very, very earliest. Certainly at Tiers 1, 2, 3, and for the majority of the Tier 4 vehicles, they pretty much all just have steel armor. So all you really need to worry about is, does your armor piercing have too much penetration, in which case load the high explosive anti-tank, which tends to have lower penetration than ammunition like armor piercing, fin stabilized discarding sabot, which is a bit of a mouthful. But tends to do more damage. Absolutely ideal for shooting at some of the more lightly armoured vehicles at those kind of tiers. But the question of, do I have too much penetration or not enough penetration, and should I change my ammunition type, is something that you're going to have to hoist on board if you want to maximise the potential damage that you can do in a game of armoured warfare at whatever tier you're playing, because, well, you may have exactly the right amount of penetration to successfully penetrate and not over-penetrate the front of a tank while you're firing at him with your armor piercing, but if you start firing at the same tank from the sides and rear because you've managed to outmaneuver him, you may find yourself over-penetrating because they don't have as much armor around the sides and rear. And this is one of the things that is really going to separate the good players from the great players in armoured warfare, knowing exactly which ammunition type you should be loading in order to do the maximum possible damage to whichever target you're shooting at based on how much armour they have facing your gun. You can, of course, just load whatever has the most penetration and you will still do damage to everything that you fire at, providing you can penetrate the armour, but knowing the right ammunition type to shoot under the right circumstances is definitely what's going to separate the good players from the great players when you're playing armoured warfare. This is a funky new feature as well. In fact, I'd actually been playing in the head start for a couple of days before I even realised this was available. Up here at the top of the screen, you've got your base button, where you upgrade your buildings and produce consumables and boosts for your private military company. Raw materials are what you use to build your base up. You can see here, once per day you'll receive 100 raw materials to use to construct or upgrade buildings. And here are the different buildings that you can upgrade and construct. The barracks. They all give different bonuses to you during play. With a barracks constructed, each level of barracks upgrade increases the crew experience that you earn by 2%. So you can see here I have a level 3 barracks. All of my crews earn 6% bonus experience in a game. With a level 2 garage, the repair costs for all of my vehicles are 4% less. My level 1 academy increases the commander experience that I earn on all my tanks by 2%. My level 1 airport reduces the cost of all equipment by 2%. My level 1 command center increases the amount of free experience I earn on all tanks by 2%. My helipad increases the amount of currency I earn by 1% at level 1, and I haven't built it yet, but my reconnaissance post reduces the cost of premium time. So that's kind of nice. This was a very, very pleasant surprise. I had no idea this was coming when I logged into Armoured Warfare after the early access phase was over, and I started playing in the head start. So Obsidian's role-playing game heritage really starting to shine through here, but I really like this feature. It's not all beer and skittles, however. There are some annoying features and some really, really nasty bugs. One bug that I've noticed is that if you have multiple people playing Armoured Warfare on the same PC but using different my.com accounts in order to play, then when you swap accounts and log in again, if you want to do a PvE co-op mission, you have to redo the tutorial from scratch every time you log in, which is particularly annoying, but not exactly game-breaking, and I'm sure something that they're going to fix very, very soon. Of slightly more concern, however, are, well, bugs like this, invisible objects, that will get you killed because you can't see them, and you drive into them, and you can't shoot through them, and you get stuck on them, and then you get the crap shot out of your tank. This map in particular, around the back of the oil refinery, just don't go around here until they sort these problems out, because you never know what you're going to drive into. And that includes respawning enemy vehicles. Yeah, hilarious when you see it happen in a YouTube video, not so much fun when it happens to you in the middle of a match, although obviously it's only an issue in the cooperative PvE missions. You're not going to have to worry about respawns in a PvP match. But it is the PvE cooperative missions that have been occupying most of my time in Armoured Warfare, because it's the one thing that Armoured Warfare offers. Well, it's the main thing that Armoured Warfare offers that you can't get in World of Tanks, or at least you can't get in World of Tanks yet. Victor Kisley, Wargaming's CEO, has mentioned that they might be looking at PvE content in World of Tanks, and possibly with the return of historical battles, but that's way, way, way off, and you can do it in Armoured Warfare right now. With a Tier 1 vehicle, you have access only to the easy PvE contracts. With Tier 2 and 3 vehicles, you can take a stab at the medium difficulty, and it's really not that difficult. Although it is still possible to lose. I have lost a couple of games in medium difficulty mode, and if anybody has lost a game in easy difficulty mode, please let me know so we can all point and laugh at you. And from Tier 4 and up, you can start playing the hard difficulty contracts. This tank, by the way, watch this damage. Look at that. This is the MBT-70, and it is absolutely hilarious. This is the KV-2 of Armoured Warfare. It has a 152mm gun on a main battle tank. It is absolutely monstrous. It can fire armor-piercing, high-explosive anti-tank, and anti-tank guided missiles. It's kind of like the big brother of the M551 Sheridan. Oh, this thing is just incredible. I have had look at that damage roll. Did you see that? This thing with high explosive anti-tank ammunition, it's the KV-2 of Armoured Warfare, no question about it. It is an absolute monster. Of course, this is high explosive anti-tank ammunition being fired from a Tier 6 vehicle, and at Tier 6 you start to run into other vehicles that have composite armour, like this M1 Abrams down here, and high explosive anti-tank ammunition even fired at the side of the Abrams is, well, it's just extremely unlikely to penetrate and actually do damage. What I should be doing here, of course, is switching to the armor-piercing ammunition. Instead, I'm compounding my error by selecting the anti-tank guided missile, which again is shaped charge ammunition. It's doing some module damage, but that's about it. It's not actually doing any damage to the health of the tank. I finally learned the lesson and switched over to the armor-piercing here, And this will give me a much, much better chance of actually inflicting damage on that Abrams down there. Bang, there you go. Doesn't do as much damage as the high explosive anti-tank or the guided missiles, but it is at least going to do some damage because it's going to penetrate. Of course, if you can penetrate something with the high explosive anti-tank ammunition from this thing, then that's what you fire, because it does a metric arse ton of damage. I really, really, really like this machine. It's just so much fun. It's quite literally like driving the KV-2 in World of Tanks. It's just roll up, derp, bang, and feast on the tears of your opponents. I don't know if any of you have seen any videos of this map from the early access test. It was horribly, horribly bugged. Right after the part where you start and you roll down that hill and come around the corner over to the right there, it had horrible, horrible frame rate issues. It would literally slow down at something like 1 frame every 3 seconds. It was just an utter nightmare. And there were enemies for you to fight on that corner. Well, that issue's been fixed. I'm very, very happy to report. Ooh, I just took a hit there from something. Somebody spotted me. They're well hidden, whoever they are. You'll note I've got the armor piercing loaded. And this is, again, entirely the wrong choice of ammunition to be firing against thin-skinned vehicles like these tank destroyers and AFVs. I'm going to penetrate, I'm certainly going to penetrate, but it's going to over-penetrate, and I'm not going to do the maximum damage potential. Although, having said that, it is a 152mm gun, and I mean, you know, there's maximum damage, and then there's maximum damage. They're still in a world of hurt, but I'm definitely not making the most of the ammunition choices. For these guys, I should be firing. Here we go, I've loaded up the high explosive anti-tank. Great, I've loaded the high explosive anti-tank and it's a bloody chieftain. Oh wait, he's giving me the side. Yep, there we go. Oh well, if it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid. What do we got here? Come on, give me the side of the tank. This guy's got explosive reactive armor at the front. It will not do anything. Turn around, give me the side. There you go, that's the one. Look at that damage roll. 715 damage. That's what it's all about. Come on. Come on, give me the side of the tank again. You know you want to. Thank you. I really, really do love this machine. The MBT-70, it's a Tier 6 premium vehicle in armoured warfare. But it does further illustrate the point that you really will do better if you're firing the right kind of ammunition at the right kind of target, and sometimes the wrong ammunition at the wrong target can become the right ammunition at the right target if they just do something as simple as turn around, or you manage to get around them. So there is actually quite a bit going on here that you need to take into account, rather than just loading whatever has the most penetration and blazing away at whatever you see in front of you. I have to admit, these PvE co-op missions, they can become a bit predictable. I mean, at this point I know we're about to get counterattacked because I've played this before, and I know that when we start capping the final point, a counterattack is going to spawn in at the bottom of the road here, so I've put myself in a position where I can immediately start farming damage on them. But it is fun. And it's a nice distraction, at least for me, from the PvP, which is exactly the same as the PvP random battles that you play over and over and over and over in World of Tanks. And, yeah, I mean, I just like having the option of doing something different every now and then. What am I going to do here? Am I going to go for the kill, or am I going to hit the other guy at the back there who's got more health? Well, here's the thing. If you go for the kill, you don't actually gain more direct experience from killing tanks. The experience and credits that you earn are based on how much damage you've done, but you do get a multiplier to the amount of credits and experience you get from damage done based on how many kills you've scored. So kills are also good. It's not all just about the amount of damage that you've scored in the game. Am I going to have to kill this expeditionary tank? He's going to get around behind me. Yeah. I don't see anybody shooting at him. I'll have to kill him. But doesn't really matter. It's a little bit of extra damage. And it's going to increase the amount of experience and credits that I've earned from the damage that I've done, because it's incrementing the number of kills that I've scored, which is nice. And it looks like the team have abandoned the cap, and we're just going to farm kills and damage. And I think, yep, that was the last one. There we go, mission complete. I did a metric arse ton of damage in this game, and it's all thanks to that 152mm gun, the high explosive anti-tank ammunition. I'd have done more if I'd fired the right ammo at the right targets at the right time the first time I did it, but yeah, I'm not really going to complain about doing 8,000 damage. That's pretty spectacular. So, yes, Armoured Warfare, it's finally here. Anybody can play it. Just pop along to either the Armoured Warfare website or the my.com website, download the launcher, set yourself up an account, and off you go. I have been absolutely kicking the arse out of this game over the course of the last couple of days and having a lot of fun doing it, and I hope you guys do too. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.